My wife claimed that spending a month with her ex was out of compassion. Our daughter backed her up. I stepped back and they ended up losing everything that we've been married for 21 years. I'm 42, she's 40. We met at a gathering hosted by a mutual friend. From the moment we met, I was drawn to her sharp, sarcastic personality, her ability to silence a room with a single well-placed remark. I loved that about her. I still do when it's not aimed at me. We started with nothing, young and directionless. Soon after, our daughter Martina, now 19, was born and we built our life from scratch. It was never perfect, but it was stable. I worked endless hours while Laura managed the home. Over time, she went back to school part-time and later started working from home as a wellness coach. But as the years passed, we drifted apart. I became more practical. She, as she puts it now, more aligned with her higher self. Her tone changed, her patience wore thin. Suddenly, every comment I made was taken as criticism. And Martina? She started siding with her mother on everything, like her personal cheerleader. This all came to a head 6 months ago. I got home from work and sat in the kitchen eating leftovers. Laura was pacing the house with that nervous energy I know too well, the kind she gets when she's about to drop something I won't like. Finally, she sat across from me, calm as anything, and said, "Esteban asked me to stay with him for a while. He's going through a tough time." Esteban, her ex, wasn't a husband or anything formal, just an old boyfriend from her youth, the kind you hear about in passing, always with a "he was a mess" disclaimer. I froze, fork midair, trying to process her words. She continued, casual as if reading a menu, "It'll just be 30 days. His wife passed away and he's struggling with grief. I feel like I need to help him close that chapter." I set my plate down and leaned forward. "You're going to live with your ex-boyfriend for a month while you're married to me?" Laura tilted her head, looking at me like I was overreacting. "It's not like that. It's not a relationship. I just want to support him. He's hurting." I blinked, incredulous. Right, because the best way to handle grief is with shared coffees and morning routines. She crossed her arms. "Don't be cruel. He lost someone. And I'm about to lose someone too," I shot back. "Since when have you two been talking again?" "A while," she said vaguely. "Off and on. It's not like I hid it from you. You didn't mention it once until now, when you've already decided the move-in date." Before I could finish, Martina appeared from the hallway. Perfect timing. She hadn't heard everything, but that never stopped her before. "She's not your property, Dad," she said defiantly. "You can't control who she talks to or where she goes. She can help someone if she wants to." "Sorry," I said. "Am I your ex-stepdad now instead of your father?" Martina huffed, gearing up for a motivational speech. "You always make everything about you. This isn't about you. It's Mom doing something good for someone who needs it." "She's talking about living with her ex for a month," I said. Laura interjected, "I'm not sharing a bed with him if that's what you're thinking." "But a house," I replied. Martina shrugged. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's not like they're going on a honeymoon. And I'm here paying for everything, feeling replaced," I said. Laura raised her voice slightly. "That's why I didn't tell you sooner. I knew you'd react like this. You didn't tell me because you knew it sounded absurd, and you thought if you said it casually, I'd just accept it." Martina rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd stick. "You're being ridiculous. You think everything revolves around your opinion. She's doing something kind, and you're mad because it's not about you. Do you hear yourselves?" I said. "You're justifying Mom moving in with her ex, and I'm the irrational one?" "You're twisting things," Laura said. "I'm just repeating your words. You're spending 30 days with Esteban to support him. How am I supposed to take that?" "There'll be boundaries," she said, arms crossed. "Sure, like the ones a hotel or a phone call would have set. Instead, you're packing a suitcase and moving into another man's kitchen." She didn't respond. Martina chimed in, her tone dripping with accusation. "You're acting like she's abandoning you. She's just being a good person, but your ego can't handle it. She is abandoning me, I said. I'm her husband. We live together. And she's choosing to stay somewhere else with someone she used to date. What do you want me to call it? They both sat there, calm as if they were the voice of reason, as if I was unhinged for finding this unacceptable. I didn't argue further. I stood, walked to the counter, grabbed my laptop, and sat back down. Laura watched me like she thought I was about to book a therapist online. Instead, I opened my email and drafted a message. Subject: clarification on separation. One paragraph, clear and direct. As discussed tonight, you've chosen to reside outside our shared home for the next 30 days. During this time, all financial responsibilities, utilities, accounts, and expenses, including gas, groceries, streaming services, subscriptions, gym memberships, and Martina's school costs, will be separate. Please confirm to acknowledge. No emotions. No exclamation points. Just facts. I sent it, CCing myself, and waited. Laura let out a dry laugh. Really? An email? You want to act like an adult? Then play by adult rules. I'm not funding 2 households. You made a choice. I'm just putting it in writing. She grabbed her phone, typed for a few seconds, and said, "Happy now?" A moment later, I heard the ping of a new email. Her response, one word: confirmed. Martina, still standing like she was filming an empowerment campaign, clapped. Well done, Mom. Clear boundary. I turned to her. Perfect. Then your university card is frozen starting tomorrow. Clear boundaries for everyone. Her clapping stopped instantly. Laura gave me a half smile and shrugged. Fine. I'll be back before you even notice I'm gone. I looked her in the eyes and said, I won't miss anyone. And I meant it. The next morning, Laura packed a small suitcase and left like she was heading to a spiritual retreat. Martina, with calculated enthusiasm, helped carry her things to the car. No tears, no hesitation from either of them. And honestly, that hurt more than I'd expected. I felt like I was just the guy who paid the bills and fixed what broke. As they pulled out of the garage, they didn't even glance back. They left like I owed them something, not the other way around. I stood in the driveway for a few minutes, processing the heavy silence their departure left behind. Back in the kitchen, I saw Laura's breakfast plate still in the sink, remnants of the meal we'd shared before she left. I glanced at Martina's room. Door open, lights on, like they'd fled their responsibilities under the guise of a 30-day test without considering the consequences. That's when it hit me. They thought I was the constant, the fallback, the guy who'd still be here, waiting with open arms when they decided to return, as if it were some enlightening experience. Not this time. I waited a day before making big moves, not out of anger but for clarity. Those first 24 hours were oddly quiet, almost too quiet, like the house itself wasn't sure if it was okay to breathe without their voices bouncing off the walls. I went to work the next day like nothing had happened. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want questions. My plan was simple: handle it quietly. But I wasn't avoiding reality. I was setting the stage. When you live with people who take you for granted and then leave thinking you'll stay put, there's something liberating about realizing you don't have to. When I got home, I sat with a notebook and listed every subscription, account, and shared expense tied to my name. The list was longer than I'd expected. Music, grocery deliveries, Amazon Prime, even that astrology app Laura said kept her centered. All canceled, silently, without warnings or texts. Just done. Then I checked our shared cloud account. Laura had been uploading photos from Esteban's place. Nothing scandalous, just selfies on the porch, pictures of his dog, green smoothies. But it bothered me. Not because I thought something was happening yet, but because she looked so at ease while I was left picking up the pieces. So I kept going. I opened the family budgeting app I'd set up because neither of them tracked spending and removed them from it. I downloaded the financial history and saved it to an external drive, just in case things got messy later. They wanted 30 days. I give them 30 days. On my terms. By day 3, the notification started. Martina tried to pay at her favorite overpriced restaurant, the kind that serves lettuce with a fancy name, and her card was declined. I knew because she sent me a screenshot with the message, "Did you do this?" I didn't respond. That night, Laura emailed, "Hey, I think there's an issue with the cards. Let me know." I replied, "Everything's fine on my end. I assume Esteban's covering things." No response. Hours later, Martina posted on social media, "Some people show their true colors when you stop giving them what they want." Instagram philosophy. I bet that salad was life-changing. But this wasn't about revenge or punishment, it was reciprocity. You choose to move in with your ex to help him grieve? Fine. But don't expect me to stock your pantry while you play therapist in someone else's house. That week, I cleaned, physically and digitally. I packed Laura's things, creams, favorite mugs, blankets, everyday items, not out of spite but for order. I labeled the boxes and stacked them in the garage out of sight. Martina's room stayed untouched, not for nostalgia, but because I wasn't ready to deal with it yet. I did turn off the lights she'd left on and unplugged her bathroom straightener. Electricity costs. By the end of the week, the house felt different, lighter, like it too was shedding a weight. That's when I realized I'd been holding everything together, not just financially but emotionally and mentally. I was the anchor for two people who didn't even notice the effort it took to keep the roof steady. Laura always said I was too practical, that I didn't live in the moment. The irony? I only started doing that when she left. That weekend I finally told someone, my sister Diana. We're not super close, but she's trustworthy, no nonsense. She lives an hour away and we usually talk once a week about mom or to vent about work. I called her early Sunday morning. She answered, "You never call this early. What's up?" I said, "Laura moved in with her ex for 30 days. Silence, then a groan. I told her the basics. Laura's reasoning, Martina's speech, the finding closure story. Diana didn't interrupt. When I finished, she said, "And you're just letting this happen?" "I'm not stopping her," I replied, "but I'm not paying for her stay either." Another pause. "Good," she said. "Don't." No yelling, no drama, just calm, firm support. She added, "If you need to crash here, I've got room." I thanked her but said I was fine. And I was. For the first time in a long time, the silence at home wasn't the enemy, it let me think clearly. After that call, I felt something like relief, not because someone took my side, but because someone saw the situation for what it was without sugarcoating it. Diana didn't tell me to fix it, she told me to take care of myself. By day 7 I had a routine. I slept better, ate better, felt lighter. The house adapted fast. No extra shoes in the entryway, no lingering chaos. By the second week, the silence shifted from peaceful to the kind you feel before a storm, when everything's too still, and you know something big is coming. I wasn't wrong. Martina broke the silence first. I was in the garage, fixing a shelf that had been leaning for months, when my phone started buzzing nonstop. 2 missed calls from her, a voicemail, then a text. "We need to talk now." Those messages never mean good news, especially from someone who, 2 weeks earlier, accused me of manipulating her by canceling her Spotify. I ignored it for a bit, went inside, grabbed a drink and sat down. 5 minutes later, she called again. I answered. No greeting, no, "How are you?" Straight to it. "Did you cancel my university portal access? I can't log in." "I didn't cancel the portal," I said. "I closed the card linked to it. If that's what paid your extras, you'll have to handle it yourself." "You can't do this," she shouted. "This affects my education." "And who's been funding that education?" I replied. "Tuition, books, rent, food, I paid for it all. But you were there when your mom said she was moving in with her ex, and you backed her like it was noble. So if you're grown enough for that, you're grown enough to act like it." Silence. Then she hung up. That was the first crack. Laura followed soon after. The next morning, I got an email from her. Subject: "We need to talk." No greeting, no apology. "I think this has gone too far. You've made your point. We should sit down when I'm back to figure out how to restart. Restart? Like this was a bad TV show, not a marriage abandoned for a 30-day spiritual retreat with her ex. I didn't reply. I marked the email unread just in case and never opened it again. The next day Diana called. She hadn't heard from me since our first talk. I saw Martina's post. She said, something about you abandoning her. I sighed. All because she can't access her fancy gym anymore. Diana let out a dry laugh that felt good. I thought Laura was sensible, but lately it's like she left her common sense somewhere. It's like she's justifying everything just to feel needed. And Esteban gave her the perfect excuse. She was right. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. This wasn't about healing, it was about control. Laura wanted to feel indispensable, and people will justify anything if they can wrap it in empathy. Over the next few days, I dug deeper into our finances. I made adjustments, removed Martina as a secondary user on a credit card, not out of spite, but for order. I didn't want more texts about her oat milk chai lattes. Soon after, one of Martina's friends who used to come over often, sent me a direct message. It was short. Just wanted to say what they're doing to you seems really unfair. Hope you're okay. That hit harder than all of Martina's outbursts combined. Someone outside who owed me nothing, saw what those living under my roof eating at my table, refused to acknowledge. On day 13 Laura called. I didn't answer. She didn't leave a voicemail but sent another email later. We should talk about how this is affecting Martina. She's struggling. You've made your point. Can we be civil now? Civil? Easy to say after moving in with your ex. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my lawyer and asked how we could separate assets without starting formal proceedings yet. I just wanted options. He explained things I hadn't considered. House ownership, long-term accounts, even insurance policies where Martina was a secondary beneficiary. We noted everything. I wasn't looking for war, just making sure I wasn't left holding the detonator if things blew up. As the days passed, I ignored their messages. The more silent I stayed, the more insistent they got. Silence unsettles people used to instant answers, not out of concern for me but anxiety over what my silence meant for them. On day 29, I made one call. No texts, no warnings. I called the courier I use for work contracts and asked them to deliver an envelope to Esteban's house. Any note to include? They asked. Yes, I said. Inside were divorce papers. Straightforward, no drama, just facts and a date. At the top, one line. You chose distance. I chose clarity. Consider this your confirmation email. By noon, I got delivery confirmation. 15 minutes later, my phone exploded. Missed calls, texts. What is this? You're overreacting. This wasn't permanent. You're divorcing over a 30-day favor? Laura played the victim immediately. Then Martina, you're really punishing her for helping someone? You're destroying everything over pride. Typical. When you block their access to your peace, they call it selfishness. I didn't respond, not because I had nothing to say, but because I'd said it all with 30 days of silence. At 6 p.m. I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in years. The next day they returned like nothing had happened. I was watching a game in the living room when I heard the garage door open. I didn't pause the TV. Laura walked in like she was back from a weekend retreat. Martina followed, dragging a suitcase already on her phone, asking what we needed to buy for the house. Laura looked around and said, "Well, we're home," as if that should thrill me. I didn't get up, just nodded. I noticed. She waited for more, but I wasn't giving it. Martina approached the dining table where my papers and laptop were spread out and said, "Can you move your stuff? I need to set up." I stood, voice steady. "No, that's not happening." Laura frowned like I'd said the sky was orange. "Excuse me? You can't just walk back in like this is a sitcom that resets with the next episode. You made choices. So did I." Martina dropped her bag, crossing her arms. "This is our home. It's where I live now," I said. "If you want in, you start at the door." Laura looked at me like I'd slapped her. "We were only gone a month," she said, visibly offended. "I didn't cheat. I didn't make a mess. I was helping someone who lost his wife. Why are you making this such a big deal?" "No," I said calmly. "You were helping your ex. You moved in with him. You cooked, cleaned, smiled in his photos like you were auditioning for a second round of your old life. And you expected me to sit here waiting with warm towels." She didn't respond. Her silence said more than words. I handed her a manila envelope I'd prepared, listing everything I'd canceled. Subscriptions, auto debits, accounts she assumed I'd keep covering. Laura held it like it might burn her. Martina looked around as if just noticing something had truly changed. "We can't even stay tonight?" she asked. "You can sleep in the garage," I said. "Your mom's boxes are there. Or go to your friends like you usually do." Laura's voice trembled. "You sent divorce papers. That's insane." "What's insane," I said, "is leaving your husband to play happy family with your ex and then getting mad when he's not waiting for you." Martina huffed, grabbing her bag. "Wow, so toxic." I smiled. "Setting boundaries isn't toxic. You just don't like them when you're not in control." Laura lowered her voice as if that could undo the past weeks. "So that's it? You're giving up?" "I gave you 30 days, I said. "You used them. Now I'm using mine." They stood there, frozen like they expected to solve a puzzle. But there wasn't one, just choices and consequences. Finally, Laura turned and left, no hugs, no apologies. Martina followed, muttering something I didn't bother to catch. I stood there as the door closed. Then I walked through the house, not lost but feeling the space, the silence, the newness. The house felt bigger, not physically but emotionally, more air, more freedom, more room to exist without being pulled or pushed. I passed the kitchen, glanced at the cupboard with Laura's Empowered Girl mugs. It was half empty now, and I liked it that way. I went to the bedroom, lay on the bed, and stared at the ceiling fan. It was off. The remote was still on her side. I didn't touch it. I closed my eyes and felt something unexpected. Not anger, not resentment, but peace. It was over. The hearing was the opposite of what Laura might have imagined. No audience, no dramatic outbursts, no epic music. Just a cold hallway, worn carpet, and lawyers with folders like any Tuesday. Laura arrived polished but tense, curly hair, full makeup, wearing the necklace I gave her 2 Christmases ago, the one she said made her feel elegant. Martina didn't come, no surprise. They talked big at home but went quiet in reality. Laura barely looked at me, just nodded with tight lips and took her place like we were strangers at a dentist's office. My lawyer leaned in. "She's nervous." "Should she be?" I replied. Laura's lawyer spoke first, as expected. "Your Honor, the 30-day period wasn't abandonment. It was a compassionate act, supporting a lifelong friend in grief, not an escape from the marriage." He literally said, "mourning another's loss," as if Laura were a saint, not someone who packed a bag to live with her ex while still wearing her wedding ring. I stayed stone-faced. My lawyer approached the judge calmly, placing a folder on the bench. Inside, the email I sent Laura the night she announced her plans, outlining her voluntary 30-day separation and my pause on joint expenses, her one-word reply, "Confirmed," with date and time. Screenshots from our shared cloud of Laura cooking at Esteban's, sitting on his porch swing, a selfie captioned "Good Vibes and Healing Company," a detailed log of canceled accounts, password changes, and digital unlinks, all time-stamped. No emotions, just facts. The judge flipped through the pages silently, no questions, like he'd seen this story before. Laura stared at the floor as if the folder might catch fire. Her lawyer tried to recover. "We're not contesting the marriage's end, Your Honor. We only request temporary financial support and shared access to lifestyle assets due to the marriage's length." My lawyer didn't flinch. She left the home by choice. She signed off, acknowledged it, and accepted the financial separation. There's no confusion, just a misplaced sense of entitlement after regret. The judge looked up. Mrs. Sanchez, how long were you absent? Laura cleared her throat. 30 days. Living with your former partner? She nodded. Yes, but it wasn't romantic. He raised an eyebrow. That's irrelevant. He tapped the folder. What matters is you left voluntarily, acknowledging you were acting on your own and understood the consequences. He turned to my lawyer. All documentation is in order. No signs of abuse, coercion, or misconduct. Then to both, request for spousal support is denied. Asset division will follow standard terms. No retroactive claims for voluntary abandonment. Laura looked like she'd swallowed stones. No tears, no protests, just a frozen expression of someone caught between anger and realization. Her lawyer touched her arm and whispered something, but she didn't move. The judge continued, the property remains under Mr. Sanchez's name per title records. No dispute there. Laura's lawyer made one last try. What about her daughter? She's 19 but still partially dependent. The judge didn't look up. She's an adult. This isn't a custody hearing. And that was it. Laura didn't speak as she left the room. She seemed smaller, not physically but like someone who'd bet on a reality that never materialized. Outside, I sat on a bench waiting for my ride. I'd canceled our shared ride service and wasn't paying for her trip to her sister's. Laura approached and sat on the far end of the bench, leaving a couple of feet between us. After a long silence, she said, "You didn't even try to fix this." I looked at her. "You moved in with another man and expected me to keep the door open." She shook her head, more confused than angry. "So you just shut everything off?" "No," I said. "I just realized I was the only one still turned on." She didn't respond, just sat there another minute, processing. Her sister's car pulled up. Laura stood without a word and left. I stayed on the bench. The sun didn't shine brighter that day, but it felt cleaner, like it was finally lighting the right version of my life. I texted Diana on the way home, saying it was done. Her reply, "Finally." Later my lawyer emailed. Subject, "Final version, clean exit." That night, I grilled a steak for myself and ate in silence, accompanied only by peace. Honestly, that felt like the real victory. 9 days after the hearing, Laura showed up unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. I opened the door to find her standing there, arms crossed, attitude radiating like I owed her an explanation. "Did you change the locks?" No greeting, just entitled formality. I leaned against the doorframe. "You don't live here anymore." She rolled her eyes hard enough to strain them. "This is how you're going to act? I gave you space and this is what I get." "You didn't give me space," I said. "You gave my space to your ex." She ignored that. "I need to pick up some things. Important stuff." I shrugged. "I packed everything. It's in the garage. You can grab it, but that's it." Laura stepped forward like she might push past me. "I'm not doing this out here. You're not doing it inside either." She looked disoriented, like the reality of not owning this space was just hitting her, as if the judge's ruling didn't matter because she thought we were on pause. "This is what you've become? Cold, resentful, kicking out your wife like a stranger?" "Ex-wife," I corrected. "And strangers don't usually treat me like I'm disposable." She scoffed. "You think this makes you a better person?" I tilted my head. "I'm not trying to be better. I just want to be left alone." She hugged herself, tensing. "I gave you time. I gave you space. I thought you'd cool off." "You thought wrong," I said. She glanced at the car. "Martina's in there. That makes 2 people who don't live here." She glared. "You really don't care? After all these years?" "You didn't give me years," I said. "We shared time. Then you gave yours to someone else like I'd wait forever. I'm not eternal." She didn't like that. She paced the porch like she was rehearsing a speech. "You know what it's like to feel unseen? To live with someone who doesn't listen?" I nodded. You're describing the last 3 years of our marriage. Her jaw clenched, she was losing control of the script. She started to say something but stopped. I waited. She didn't finish. You thought I'd be here, porch light on, waiting for you to come back, I said. I thought you'd understand, she murmured. I did, I replied. That's why I filed the papers. Laura opened her mouth again but paused. She looked toward the garage. Fine. I'll get my stuff. Without another word, she walked down the steps. From the window, I saw her open the car trunk and load boxes without checking them. Martina never got out. Laura slammed the trunk, climbed into the passenger seat, and they sat there for a minute before driving off. I stood, watching the empty street. Then I locked the door, not out of habit but deliberately. It felt like closing a chapter, not the therapy kind, but the real kind when you realize peace isn't given, it's chosen. Later I checked my emails. One from Martina, no subject, just blame. You let mom fall apart and did nothing. You could have fixed it but chose being right over keeping your family. Not a word about supporting her mom's choice to move in with another man. Nothing about the bills I paid while they called me controlling. Zero accountability. I didn't reply. When someone sees you as the technician who fixes their mistakes, not a person, they don't deserve an answer. They want to keep telling their story. I changed the channel.